Hi guys.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning. How are
Good
you guys?
morning, sir. We fine, sir. How are you?
Good, good, good. So yeah, just the two of you right now, huh? That's fine. That's fine. Uh, One thing, we'll begin the class anyway. Complex numbers, the basics we'll get through because I'm assuming everybody knows the basics. Okay. So you know what an Argand plane is? Argand plane.
No, sir.
Okay. Uh, you know what I is? I.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. It's an imaginary number.
What is this? What is I? Can you tell me what I
Root
is?
minus 1.
Root of -1. So like first thing what we had was the real number line. Think of it like that. Okay. This is the real number line. All right. Then what we did was we found other numbers. We as in some people way before us. Okay. So they found some other numbers that actually exist. Like they don't exist in a real sense, but they do exist and they have properties that kind of match what we do with real numbers as well. All right. So they're called imaginary numbers, complex numbers, basically. Right? Imaginary or complex numbers. So they are of the form a plus ib. So the idea how this came about was by solving this x square equal to -1. Hmm. Okay, so it becomes x square plus 1 equal to 0, or you can write that as x square plus, sorry, x square minus -1 equal to 0, right? Then it becomes x minus root of -1, x plus root of -1 equal to 0. And from then on, they started calling this root of -1 as I. Okay, they just denoted it as root of -1. We say, right, a quadratic has real roots, two real roots, or two imaginary roots. This is where it comes from. Okay, the number a plus ib form. Once you have it, you say the number is imaginary. So the thing about such numbers, right, complex numbers, you can plot them on an Argand plane. Like all real numbers will be on the x-axis, the real number line. Okay, so these are purely real numbers. These are purely real. The numbers on the imaginary axis are purely imaginary. And the numbers in between, a plus ib form, both are there. There's an imaginary part and a real part. They are called imaginary numbers. Okay, or complex numbers. Is this much clear?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay, and I'll tell you how we plot the point a plus ib. A will be the real part and B will be the imaginary part. You understand this axis, these axes and this coordinate system? Okay, so
Yes,
this is an
sir.
Argand plane on which you can plot the points A plus IB. As simple as that. Then, what do we have here? So for purely real numbers, the condition is B is equal to 0 in A plus IB. Okay, for purely imaginary numbers, the condition is A is equal to 0. Then, for complex number, the condition would be B not equal to 0. That's all. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. This is a purely real number, purely imaginary number, or imaginary number. Which category does this fall into? 0 plus I into 0.
Real number.
Origin?
Hmm? It is
Origin,
the
sir.
origin. You're talking about the origin, yes. Where does it fall? As in it's the origin, correct. But which category does it fall? Purely imaginary, purely real, or complex, or none of these?
Purely real, sir. Because it will come out as 0. No?
It's purely real and purely imaginary. Okay. All right. It comes out as a 0. 0 is a real number, yes. But then you can say it's purely imaginary also because it satisfies this part, a equal to 0 as well. Okay. Is this clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So it's both purely imaginary and purely real. Okay. Then, all right. You know the algebra, right? Like if you add two complex numbers, x1 plus iy1 plus. So we'll be denoting it with z. Okay. Z1 will be x1 plus iy1. Z2 is x2 plus iy2. You know how to add them?
Yes,
X1
sir. We
plus
have to
X2.
add real parts separately and
Separately.
then imaginary parts separately.
And imaginary parts separately. Lovely. When we subtract them?
Same way, sir.
Same thing. Okay. So inside x1 minus x2 plus I into y1 minus y2. Okay. Now just multiply both of them. What do you get?
X1,
I
X2.
think this also separately.
It's not exactly the same. Like maybe you meant the same thing. Maybe. So what you do is you multiply each parts individually. So you get x1, x2. Then you get I into x1, y2. Plus you get I into x2, y1. Plus I square into y1, y2. What is I square, guys?
-1.
Okay, remember, I square is -1. So x1, I is root of -1, right? So I square will be -1. All right. So this one will become, so I'll plug the real parts together. I square is real actually. So it becomes x1, x2 minus y1, y2 plus I into x1, y2 plus x2, y1. Okay. You don't need to remember this, but you can multiply it on the go and solve it. Okay. But remember what will happen is the x parts will multiply with each other, x1, x2. Y parts will multiply with each other with the minus sign. Plus I into, you intermix both, x1, y2 plus y2, x1. Sorry, I have y1, x2. Okay. Next, when you divide, what happens? How do you divide this and get a complex number in the form a plus ib? How do you divide this? Come on. We rationalize the denominator. Okay. Am I audible, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So how do you rationalize the denominator? You multiply the denominator with its conjugate. Now the conjugate is obtained by simply changing the sign of the imaginary part. Okay, so there was a real part and an imaginary part. We simply change the sign of the imaginary part. Okay, that is how you get a conjugate. Now, when you multiply a real number, sorry, a complex number by its conjugate, what happens is you get an absolutely real number. Okay, so this is a plus b into a minus b. Okay, so you get this as a square minus b square form. So that becomes x2 square minus b square, which is I square into y2 square. All right. So I square is -1. So this becomes x2 square plus y2 square. So since you brought this from nowhere, x2 minus I x2 minus iy2, this becomes x1 plus iy1 into x2 minus iy2. Do this multiplication separately on top. Okay. So you get x1, x2 plus y1, y2, because it's minus I square. Then plus I into x2, y1 minus x1, y2. This is how we write it as A plus IB form. Are you following? This denominator can be split into two parts. Okay. One will, like both will have the same denominator. That's the idea. Okay. You understand what a conjugate is? This is your takeaway.
Yes, sir.
Once you get what the conjugate is, next you look at multiplying it with the conjugate. And now you have to understand that when you multiply a real number, a complex number with its conjugate, you will get a real number. Okay. All right. So the idea here is, once again, if you have a complex number here, okay, at this point, call it Z1. So its conjugate is represented by Z1 bar. Okay. Where you get Z1 bar is pretty interesting. It'll be like this. Z1 bar. Remember, it's x1 plus iy1 is z1. You change the sign, so it's representing the point x1 comma y1, right? And I told you z1 bar, which is conjugate, will be x1 minus iy1. So that will be represented by the point x1 comma minus y1. You understood why it's symmetrical about the x-axis? Do look at it,
Yes, sir.
try to understand, grasp it. All of you with me on the same page?
Yes, sir.
Guys, if you're not, please clarify. Aditi, how are you?
Yes, sir, I understood.
Sorry?
I understood, sir.
Understood. Okay. Okay, three of you got this. Now let's continue then. So this is how the conjugate is. Now when you multiply, you get a number on the real line. And it comes out to this form also, by the way. So you have x plus iy as a number and x minus iy as its conjugate. And then imagine a number and its conjugate. When you multiply both, you get x square plus y square. Now, if this is the point x1 comma y1, what is the distance from this? It's root of x1 square plus y1 square. So when I multiply this by its conjugate, so this distance will also be root of x1 square plus y1 square. When I multiply both, I get a value which is x1 square plus y1 square itself, not root of it, but the square of this distance. Right. I hope this much was clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this much you should understand. And what do we have? Okay. I hope all of you know this. Yeah, tell me.
Sir, how it is x1 square plus y1 square? Should be minus. No?
No, it will be x square. Okay, x1 square. When I multiply both, okay, it'll be x1 square minus I square into y1 square, right? A plus b into a minus b. Okay, so you get x1 square minus a square into y1 square. I square
I'm
is
telling
minus
about
1.
the distance, sir. The root over x1 square plus y1 square.
Yes,
Sir,
what about the
it's like
distance?
vector addition, no, sir?
Yes. It's exactly like vector addition. This is exactly the same thing. That if you understand that much, no, you're pretty much sorted. All you need to learn more is polar coordinates, like how to bring it around the circle. But if you understand that part, it's just like vector, you are sorted in this chapter. I'm not even kidding. Like if you understand it properly. Now you got the idea, but with practice, you'll understand it properly. Okay. Once you get that, you're sorted with this chapter. And to answer your question, we had x1 comma y1 is the point. What is the distance from this to 0 comma 0? X1 square plus y1 square.
Yes, sir.
So that is what I used here. So this distance is y1, this distance is x1, and this is the hypotenuse.
Oh, we
Root
do
of
not
x1
include
plus
the complex number here, sir.
no. It is the complex number x1 plus I y1. The same distance is going for this lower part also, which is x1 minus I y1. So that is how you represent that point. Think of it like that. Or represent the line segment or the ray from the origin to this, to z1. Okay. So once you think of it as the ray from the origin, 0, 0, to this point x1, y1, as the complex number x1 plus I y1, what do you have here? Exactly what she said right now. Okay, it's a vector from O to A, okay, which is represented as x1 plus I y1. You can look at it that way. Or you can look at it as the point x1, y1. That is your choice. All right. There's a reason why you can do this. Okay, but is this much clear?
Yes, sir. Actually, I included the I also in the coordinates, sir. So I got it wrong.
I in the coordinates. You put x1 plus I y1 as the x coordinate. Huh?
No, sir. I took a x1, I y1, sir.
Okay. No. I is to show that it's from another axis. Think like that. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So x1 on the real axis, y1 on the imaginary axis. Just think about it like this. That is good enough. Right. So we have the distances. Now, can you tell me this angle theta? How do you find the angle theta? Okay. Tan inverse y1 by x1. Just imagine this triangle and then see the angle theta. Tan inverse y1 by x1. Right. Now, okay, there is one interesting property. So you powers of I. Okay. So what do you know about the powers of I? Can you tell me whatever you know? Guys, quickly. We don't have much time. What can you
It's
say about
like a multiple of 4, sir.
It's a multiple. Okay. They show cyclicity with 4. Okay, basically I raised to 1 is I raised to 2 is minus 1, I raised to 3 is minus I raised to 4 is minus I square, which is minus of minus 1, which is 1. Now I raised to 5, the cycle repeats. Okay. All right. So this is what happens. I raised to 8 becomes 1 again. And this cycle keeps repeating. So here you can see that it happens with a multiple of 4. The idea you said multiple of 4 was like this. If I write 4k plus 1, I raised to 4k plus 1, where k is an integer, you have I. I raised to 4k plus 2, where k is an integer, you have minus 1. I raised to 4k plus 3, where k is an integer, is minus I, and I power 4k plus 4, or I power 4k is 1. Okay, so remember this. Okay, this is very useful. And then, you know for real numbers that a square plus b square equal to 0. What does that mean? If you take a square plus b square equal to 0, what does that mean? Guys, can you speak up?
Sir, either both of them are 0.
Exactly. Both are 0. That's the meaning. A equal to 0 and b equal to 0, because you know sum of two squares has to be at least 0. Okay, and it takes its minimum value of 0 here on the RHS. So both individually have to be 0. That's the idea. Okay, but if I take two complex numbers and say it's 0, what does that mean here? It does not mean that both have to be 0. Okay. All right. For example, I'll show you an example. 1 plus I and z2 equal to 1 minus I. Can you quickly tell me what Z1 square is? Z1 square? Guys, quickly. 1 will be there. I square will be there, which is -1 and plus 2i. Next, Z2 square will be 1 plus -1 minus 2i. So you get plus 2i minus 2i. Z1 square is plus 2i. Z2 square is minus 2i. When you add both of them, you're getting 0. So this in complex numbers does not really mean much. Okay, I hope that much was clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, Z1 is 1 plus I. Okay, 1 plus I. Z1 is 1 plus I. So Z1 square was 2i. Okay. 2i. Okay, so Z1's this is the length of this vector, okay? The magnitude of Z1 is what you call it. The magnitude of Z1, mod Z1, is given by mod of x1 square plus y1 square, which is the distance, okay? Length of the vector, think of it like that. Or the distance of the point from the origin, same thing, okay? So think of it like this. So this becomes 1 plus 1, which is 2, root 2, okay? And this is Z1 square, which is 2i. What is mod of Z1 square? What is mod of Z1 square? That's 2. It's 2i, right? You can see the distance from the origin is 2 units. So you can see that, okay, mod Z1 square is the square of mod Z1. You can see that. All right. What about the angle theta? What is happening to the angle theta? We know it's 45 here. And for this one, the angle theta is 90 degrees. The angle is doubling. Okay, when you're squaring it, notice that the angle doubles. And the magnitude is being squared. That is fine. Okay, the magnitude is squared, but the angle doubles. Is that much clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now, all right. Okay, answer this quick question. R equal to 1 to 2006 I power R. What is the sum? We can do this, come on.
Sir, it's summation of R is equal to 1 to 2006, no, sir?
Yeah, correct.
Answer is -1.
Answer is -1. Let's find out. So how did you do this?
Sir, I did that 4K plus 1 method. Oh.
No, that is
Summation
multiplication.
I forgot.
Hmm.
Summation I forgot, sir. I did it wrong.
That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. So the thing to understand is,
Sir, is it
look at I
minus I?
raised to 4. Sorry, minus
I.
I. I don't think so, but we'll just check. Okay. So I power 1 plus I power 2 plus I power 3 plus I power 4. What does this much come up to? I minus 1
0.
minus I plus 1. This comes up to 0. So the next 4 also come up to 0 because they are cyclic. I power 5 will be I power 6 will be minus 1, I power 7 will be minus I, and I power 8 will be 1. When I add them up, I'll get 0. So this will keep on happening for every batches of 4. Think of every batch of 4 coming out to 0. So then we start from I power 4k plus 1. Think like that. So then I power 2004 is divisible by 4, but 4k plus 1 will be 2005 plus I power 2006. We find this, we have an answer. So this is equivalent to I. This is equivalent to minus 1. I get I minus 1 as my final answer. Is this much clear, or do you have any doubts? Please look at it.
Clear, sir.
Crystal clear, all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, okay, what is the conjugate of Z1 equal to 1? What is the conjugate of this? So whenever I tell you a complex number, try to imagine it on the plane, okay? On the Argand plane. So that's one exercise that
Sir,
I
is
have
it
for you.
still 1?
Yes, it's still 1. Okay. Aditi, Lakshanya, Harish, are you getting this?
Yes, sir, because it's in the axis itself.
Because it's on the axis itself, correct. So if it had an angle theta, it would have gone down by minus theta. Okay, the conjugate. Or think of it like this. 1 plus 0i is this number. Okay, we are looking at 1 minus 0i, which is 1 itself. Right? So any number on the real axis will have its conjugate as that number itself. Okay, this much should be clear to you. We also learned that a number into its conjugate will be x square plus y square. Check that out. That much is clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this can be written as mod of z square also, the magnitude of z whole square. So just please remember this. This is pretty important. Okay. Number into its conjugate is like this. Now, when I add a number and its conjugate, what do I get? You can imagine the imaginary part cancelling out and the real part doubling. Okay, 2 into real part of z it becomes. So you take a number and subtract from it the conjugate. What does it become? 2 into imaginary part of z. Okay. All right. I hope this is clear. Why are you not responding? What is going on? If you didn't understand, say that at least. Okay.
Clear, sir.
Okay. When I say mod z equal to 1, what does it mean? Okay. I'll ask a question. I'll answer it myself. This is the game. Fine. Mod
Sir,
z
either
means root
real
of x
is
square plus y square.
either real is 1 or imaginary will be 1.
Imaginary will be 0.
1 comma 3. Does this come under this? No, right?
So if real is 1, imaginary is 0, sir. Like that.
Okay. So you're talking about points like this.
Yes, sir.
But there are many more points in between that are applicable. Okay. So just square this equation. What do you get? What is this? This is a circle. Right. So you basically have a circle of radius 1. So whenever they say mod z is equal to 1, they're referring to a circle of radius 1. Is this clear now?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Not,
sir.
please clarify. Okay. So circle with center origin and radius 1. What do you get here? And there's something called the argument. Okay, so if you have a point z, you have a point here which is z, okay, represented by x comma y. The argument of z is the angle it makes with the x-axis. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Angle it makes with the
Yes, sir.
positive x-axis. Okay. So how you find theta is tan inverse mod of y by x. Basically, you get a first quadrant angle, theta. So according to the quadrant, you have to change the angle. Like if it's quadrant 1, then you say that x is greater than 0 and y is greater than 0. This much you know for a fact, right? With quadrant 1, x is greater than 0, y is greater than 0. What can you say about the amplitude? Sorry, or the argument. It's the
Positive.
same thing.
Only theta.
Argument is theta itself. Okay. Now, if it is the second quadrant, remember, you're getting a first quadrant angle here by tan inverse y by x. Tan inverse returns values from 0 to pi by 2. Now, if it was in the second quadrant, what can you say about x? X is less than 0 and y is greater than 0. Okay, what can you say about the argument here?
Pi minus theta.
Pi minus theta. Okay, because it's in the second quadrant. So what you do is you go all the way to pi and then you subtract theta from it. That's the idea. Okay. So you get that you obtain a value of theta first, and with that you play around. If it's third quadrant, both will be lesser than 0. And what can you say about the argument?
Theta minus pi.
So one thing I want you to understand about argument is that it's between minus pi. Okay, minus pi won't include till pi. All right. This argument will be between minus pi and theta. So when you think about a third quadrant angle, go like this. You go minus pi first. Okay, minus pi first. And then you bring in your first quadrant angle, which will be theta. Okay, plus theta. So it's theta minus pi, same thing. Okay. Now the fourth quadrant, what do you do? X is greater than 0,
y
and y is
less
less than 0. You will get minus theta here. All right. So remember, this way is anti-clockwise, that's a positive angle. This way is clockwise, which is a negative angle. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Tell me the argument of minus 1 minus root 3. Come on. Find the argument of this. In your mind, plot it on a graph. Okay, minus 1 is the x part, minus root 3 is here. So you're looking at a third quadrant angle. How do you find theta? Tan inverse minus root 3 by minus 1. So that becomes tan inverse
pi by 3.
Which is 60 degrees, pi by 3. Okay. Now, my argument answer would be what? It's in the
Pi
third
1.
quadrant. So it's minus pi plus theta. So it becomes minus pi plus pi by 3. which is minus 2 pi by 3. Are you getting this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is like the principal value. Principal value is between minus pi and pi. But if they are asking you for a general solution, what will you write? Minus 2 pi by 3 plus 2n pi, where n is any integer. Okay. Did you understand why? You've done it in trigonometry, right? When I add 2n pi, what happens? You're going by 360 degrees. You're reaching that same angle again. All right.
Sir, one doubt, sir. Sir,
Yes.
theta is always taken along x-axis, no, sir?
The theta is taken along the positive side of x-axis. Yes. Like, oh, this theta. Theta here is a first quadrant angle, which is tan inverse mod of y by x. That is theta. The
Okay,
argument is taken with respect to the positive x-axis. That's what I meant.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So here you get the argument as minus pi plus theta. Was that your doubt?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Then okay, did you understand the general solution thing? 2n pi, all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. What did you say? Yeah, someone asked it out here. Someone asked it out.
No, sir.
Okay. All right, we have properties of arguments. Properties of arguments. Argument Z1 into Z2 is argument Z1 plus argument Z2. One example we did before was what? I squared a number. I saw that its angle doubled, right? Like 1 plus I squared. What did I get? I got 2i. Basically, 1 plus i's argument was 45 degrees or pi by 4. And 2i's argument is pi by 2. We saw the angle doubling. So this is the general case of that. If you multiply two complex numbers, their arguments simply add up. All right, keep that in your mind. Next, if you divide two complex numbers, their arguments are subtracted. Okay. So this is pretty important. Keep this in the back of your mind always. So you can remember it like this also. If you divide or multiply a complex number by a real number, like k into z, what happens? The length of z1 changes, okay? That changes into k into z1. The argument does not change. Okay, so it means you're adding 0 or subtracting 0 from the argument. That is the contribution Z2 does, which is key. Are you following now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so please understand this is very important, this is very useful. Okay, properties of argument for a complex number. Yeah. Okay, now let's head into something called polar form. Okay, polar form tells me that any number z, any complex number z can be written as cos theta plus I sin theta into its R value. R value is what? It's nothing but x square plus y square. That you remember, right? The distance from the origin to the point z. Okay, distance from the origin to the point z is x1 square plus y1 square. That is the same thing I mean by R here. Okay. Okay, the polar form is basically represented for a circle. Okay. The idea is any point of a circle can be represented in terms of its radius and the angle theta as r cos theta and r sin theta. This is the idea. Okay. So here we are saying that any complex number with like radius r can be represented as r cos theta and r sin theta. And we know that number will be what? X plus iy, right? So we rewrite that as x, which will be r cos theta, plus I into y, which will be r sin theta. And combining both together, I write it as r into cos theta plus I sin theta. Is this clear? This is polar form. Must have learned this already in school. Like here, we can say that cos theta is x by root of x square plus y square. Just imagine this triangle here. Okay, this triangle, I'll redraw that. This is x, sorry, this is y, this is x. This will be r, which is root of x square plus y square. And this is angle theta. This is the point. R cos theta, R sin theta. So you can see here, theta is like sin theta, cos theta you can get from here. Sin theta will be y by root of x square plus y square. Does all of this make sense to you?
Yes, sir.
If it's not, please
Yes,
say
sir.
no. Okay, this silence is what irritates me a lot, in the sense that after explaining everything, once a person says, listen, I'm not understanding, right? I'll actually get angry. So please tell me when you're not understanding. That'll be better. Okay? Because then your questions will be genuine and we can clarify it. Otherwise, you're just keeping it inside and worrying about what other people will think, which I don't think you should care about. Right? So now, let's look at this element here. Cos theta plus I sin theta. Okay, CIS form. That's what it's called. CIS of theta. The first property would be mod of cos theta plus I sin theta equal to what? Can you tell me what this is?
1.
Exactly. Cos square theta plus sin square theta under the root, which is 1. Okay. So, cos alpha plus I sin alpha into cos beta plus I sin beta. What does this come up to?
1.
Now you're simply guessing. No, it's not 1. It's not 1. There's alpha and beta.
Oh,
Need
I
not
didn't
be
see
1.
that.
I'm not talking about the modulus. I'm not talking about the modulus. Okay, if it was just the modulus, it would have been 1. I think that's what you meant here. This is not the modulus value. I'm asking to multiply both of these. What do you get? Okay, I'm asking you to multiply and divide both. What happens?
Sir, for multiplication, it will be cos alpha plus beta plus cos alpha into I sin beta plus I sin alpha into cos beta.
I sin alpha into cos beta. What you get is cos alpha cos beta, then plus I square into sin alpha sin beta. So that becomes minus sin alpha sin beta plus I into sin alpha cos beta plus cos alpha sin beta. This is sin A cos B plus cos A sin B, which is sin A plus B. This is
I
cos A
forgot
cos
to
B minus
simplify.
sin A sin B, which is cos A plus B. What? Sorry, you forgot?
To simplify the sin alpha plus beta.
Okay. Sin alpha and sin beta. Okay. So there are 4 terms in the expansion. Okay. So I'm putting pressure on you so that you make mistakes and you start noticing what kind of mistakes you make. Okay. It's a good thing you made a mistake. It's fine. So once you notice the type of mistakes, be a little more aware next time. That's how you improve. All right. Now, the next part. What do you do here? When you divide, what do you do?
Rationalize.
You rationalize the denominator. Perfect. Perfect. Denominator becomes cos square beta plus sin square beta, which is 1. So you can leave that and put the conjugate on the top. That's the idea. Sorry. Cos beta plus I sin beta. Okay, that's what I wanted you to divide. What does this become? Okay, you're getting the same thing, cos alpha minus beta plus I sin alpha minus beta.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. So here, what I want you to notice is when I multiply two complex numbers, something I said before, okay, the angles add up, right? When I divide two complex numbers, the angles subtract from each other. That's basically what happened here, right? Had we applied that, we would have gotten to this faster. But do you get the
Yes,
idea
sir.
after solving? Okay. So that's what's happening here. Then, is there any other property? I don't think so. Okay. So we have Z equal to 1 plus cos 6 pi by alpha. Oh, sorry, 6 pi by 5 plus I sin 6 pi by 5. Okay. Find magnitude and argument. Find the magnitude and the argument. On argument of Z, or you can represent it by amplitude of Z as well. Both are the same thing. Okay. This is not the amplitude you learned in physics. It's a little different. This is referring to the angle. Okay. Between minus pi and pi. Okay, so how do you solve this? You have theta equal to tan inverse something, right? Y by x. Y is sin 6 pi by 5 and x is 1 plus cos 6 pi by 5. Right? This is the real part, this is the imaginary part. What does this come up to? 2 sin 3 pi by 5 cos 3 pi by 5. Sin 2a is 2 sin a cos a. 1 plus cos 2a is what?
Cos square 3 pi by 5. 2 cos square 3 by 5.
2 cos square 3 pi by 5. Nice. Okay. So cos cancels, 2 and 2 cancels, I get tan 3 pi by 5. All right. Mod of z you can easily find, right? What is it?
Root over 1 minus cos 12 by 5.
Wait, what? Let me check. Root of 1 plus cos square 6 pi by 5 plus 2 cos 6 pi by 5 plus
No, sir, I did mistake, sir.
sine square 6 pi by 5. This and this cancels out to become 1. And that's okay, man. Like, that's okay. It's not a big deal. So you get 2 into 1 plus cos 6 pi by 5. And we just found that 1 plus cos 6 pi by 5 can be written as 2 cos square 3 pi by 5. So this answer would be 2 mod cos 3 pi by 5. Okay, this is what you get. Now, this is for mod z, but leave that. We are looking at theta here. So theta, what is the value of theta here? Tan theta equal to tan mod 3 pi by 5. How do I find theta? Guys, you know that 1 plus cos
minus
6 pi by 5 will be positive. Okay, this is greater than 0. And sine 6 pi by 5 is in the third quadrant, so it will be lesser than 0. So you're looking at a place where x is positive and y is negative, which means fourth quadrant. Okay, you're expecting a value of theta in the fourth quadrant. Okay, that's what you want. Okay, but here you have 3 pi by 5. Tan of mod 3 pi by 5 is tan theta. So we said, no, first I'll find the value of theta as the first quadrant angle and then convert it to whichever quadrant. So I have, what is my first quadrant value of theta?
Two pi by 5.
Exactly. 3 pi by 5 is second quadrant. Okay. So to convert that to first quadrant, you simply subtract it from pi. Okay. So pi minus 3 pi by 5 is 2 pi by 5, which is my first quadrant angle. Okay. This is my first quadrant theta. Now, my final answer for the argument would be minus of this because it's in the fourth quadrant. So minus 2 pi by 5 will be my final answer here. This looks like a mess, but is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, minus 2 pi by 5 will be this. Now, there is an exponential form. Okay. So I think CBSE level has been covered. So exponential form. So whenever you see that any complex number z, which can be represented as x plus iy, which can further be represented as r into cos theta plus I sin theta. Okay, so which means the point can be x comma y or r cos theta, r sin theta. Okay, this same complex number can be represented as r into e power I theta. Okay, what is e power I theta then? E power some complex power. Okay, I into theta. E power I theta is nothing but cos theta plus I sin theta, where theta is specifically in radians. Okay, only then it works. All right, are you following?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
so e power I theta is nothing but cos theta plus I sin theta. Right, I hope this is clear to all of you.
Sir, in the previous question was the answer minus 2 pi by 5 or 2 pi by 5?
Minus 2 pi by 5 was the correct answer. But what is your doubt here? Minus 2 pi by 5
Or 2 pi by 5?
Minus 2 pi by 5. 2 pi by 5 was the first quadrant angle. Okay. So once we find the first quadrant angle only, we decide which quadrant we put that in. That's the idea. Okay. So yeah. That problem is done, Varun?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now exponential form, all I want you to remember is e power I theta is cos theta plus I sin theta. Okay. So if I multiply two complex numbers here, z1 into z2, basically it becomes r1 e power I theta 1, which is the first one, and z2 is r2 e power I theta 2, which is the second one. When I multiply both, what happens? R1, R2 becomes the magnitude, and this is e power I theta 1 plus theta 2, right? Okay, when I multiply both. Okay, can you tell me e power I theta is this thing? Magnitude, what is that? Guys, e power I theta, what's the magnitude of e power I theta?
E power I theta.
What is the magnitude of e power I theta? Okay, suppose e power I theta is a complex number, which is cos theta plus I sin theta. Okay, what is the magnitude of this? Root of x square plus y square, right?
1, sir.
Exactly, thank you. All right, mod of e power I theta is 1. Okay, so look at R1. Like if I say R into e power I theta, z equal to R into e power I theta, what I want you to do is look at R as the length of the vector and e power I theta giving the inclination of the vector. Are you following? That is why this is very important and useful. Okay.
Sir,
So
can you
when I-
repeat this once more?
Yes. So when you see that R, like when any complex number z is R into e power I theta, what I want you to see is that there are two parts to z, to the complex number. Okay. One is the R part, which is the magnitude part, which is the length of the vector. Okay. The second part is the e power I theta part, which is the inclination of the vector. Okay. So to form any point here, like on the Argand plane, okay, you will need a length. So you bring in a length. So that will be R. And then you rotate it by an angle theta, right? Okay, you have some R here value, which you'll rotate by angle theta to get to the desired point. Okay, Z, which is defined by theta. Okay, or so Z is theta. You can write that as x plus iy. You can write this as R into cos theta plus I sin theta. You can also write this as R into e power I theta. They're all three of them are the same thing. Okay, from x plus iy, you can understand what theta is. How do you do that? You write tan inverse y by x, and then you use the right quadrant. Okay, use the right quadrant after that. Tan inverse mod of y by x, and then figure out the right quadrant. So then you see that all three are the same thing. So here also you can see r is nothing but root of x square plus y square, or you can write x as r cos theta and y as r sin theta. You can mix and match amongst these three forms directly. Okay. Are you following,
Yes,
guys?
sir.
Yes, what was your doubt?
I told yes, sir.
No, somebody else asked it out. Did anybody ask it out here right now? Okay, doesn't look like it. Fine. Now, r cos theta and r sin theta is there. Okay, so this is how you interchange between the different types of complex numbers. Okay, they're all the same basically. So these two, you should see them as ditto same. Okay, these two forms, polar form and Euler form. It's called Euler's form or Euler form or exponential form. It's the same thing. So when I multiply two complex numbers, what happens? Their magnitudes multiply with each other and the angles simply add up. Can you see this easily here in Euler form? When I multiply two complex numbers, R1 e power I theta 1 and R2 e power I theta 2, what happens? The angles
The
add up.
magnitude multiply and angles add up.
Angles add up, exactly. When I divide two complex numbers, what happens?
The
magnitudes are divided
and angles are subtracted.
And the angles are subtracted. Perfect. Okay, this is all I wanted you to understand here. Okay. Now, let's do some simple properties. Okay, these are some extra properties. Please note them down. Mod of z greater than real part of z. Is this obvious? Basically, if you have a triangle where this is y, this is x, and this is the root of x square plus y square, you say that the hypotenuse is the longest side, right? The mod of z is root of x square plus y square. Real part of z is x. Now, similarly, you can say mod of z is greater than imaginary part of z. Okay. Is this clear? Greater than or equal to? Like the other part can be 0. Don't forget. Okay, so it's greater than or equal to. Then we also learned that z into mod z into conjugate of z is mod z square. We learned this before. Okay. So basically, one is x plus iy, other is x minus iy. You multiply both of them, you get x square plus y square, which is mod z square. Next, I can write modulus of z1 into z2 as mod z1 into mod z2. You can use exponential form later to confirm all of this. Go for it, okay? Mod of z1 by z2 can be written as mod z1 divided by mod z2. Mod z power n can be written as mod of z power n. Okay, so please note these properties down. Okay, have you noted all of this down?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So let's move ahead to a question. Finally, question. Okay, mod of z1 plus z2 the whole square plus mod of z1 minus z2 the whole square equal to 2 into mod z1 square plus mod z2 square. This is what I want you to prove. Come on, prove it first. Z1, Z2 are all complex numbers. So we know that mod of z, as in z into z bar, is mod z square. We can use that here. So that becomes z1 plus z2 into z1 plus z2 the whole bar plus z1 minus z2 into z1 minus z2 the whole bar. Okay. Now we'll expand this. We get z1 into z1 bar plus z1 into z2 bar. Basically, z1 plus z2 bar, I write that as z1 bar plus z2 bar. This is valid, okay? z1 minus z2 bar becomes z1 bar minus z2 bar. So from here, I get this plus z1 bar z2 plus z2 z2 bar. Now plus z1 z1 bar minus z1 z2 bar minus z2 z1 bar plus z2 z2 bar. What happens? Z1, Z2, wherever that happens, they cancel out. Okay.
And the
Now
others
what am I
get
left
squared.
with? Sorry?
They get squared, the others.
Yes. This becomes mod Z square, all of these remaining parts. Okay. So they become mod Z square, this is mod Z1 square happening twice, and mod Z2 square happening twice. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, how I would like you to start thinking from now on. Two Z's are given. Okay. Z1 and Z2. What do you mean by Z1 plus Z2? So when I say Z1, I'm referring to this vector. Think of it like that. Okay. When I say Z2, I'm referring to the other vector. Z1 plus Z2 is what? You remember parallelogram law of addition? Okay. Z1 plus Z2 is this vector. I want you guys to see this clearly. Okay. Z1 plus Z2 is this vector, and Z1 minus Z2, okay, will be this vector. Right? So if you form a parallelogram, you'll get both the diagonals by Z1 plus Z2 and Z1 minus Z2. In vectors, you've already studied this. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Right, guys? So basically, what am I doing here? Z1 plus Z2 the whole square, magnitude of the first diagonal, plus Z1 minus Z2, magnitude square. Basically, that you're referring to as the second diagonal. Right, guys?
Yes, sir.
And what is this? First side. This is the second side. For any parallelogram, this is true, right? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So this is the same thing. This is something you already know. This is what we are proving here. This is basically what they are asking here. So when they talk about Z1 plus Z2, Z1 minus Z2, so you know what to do from now, right? When I say Z1 minus Z2, imagine a vector from Z2 towards Z1. Okay. When I say Z1 plus Z2, imagine a vector between both of them, adding up. Okay, how they would add by vector addition. Right. This is the first thing I wanted you to understand. Okay. Hope this is clear. Now, triangular inequality. Mod of Z1 minus mod Z2 less than or equal to mod Z1 plus Z2 greater than or equal to mod Z1 plus mod Z2. What are we talking about here? Really, it's triangular inequality, but how am I asking you to think and how does this work out? Can one of you explain? Just try to explain. You need not be correct. I'll correct you if required. That's why. Guys, what do we do here?
Draw two lines representing Z1 and Z.
What?
Sir, we have to draw two lines representing Z1 and Z2.
Lovely. Start. So there's Z1, there is Z2. Okay.
And then the line joining them is
The
Z1
line
minus-
joining them is, yes.
Okay.
And the line going between them is Z1 plus Z2.
All right. Okay. Imagine this as vector A. Imagine this as vector B. Okay. So you know, when I say A plus B or A minus B, say A plus B, it's something like this. You'll get something like this, right? So you can take this side and place it here. You'll get a triangle basically. So imagine this as the third side of the triangle. That's what I want you to do. Okay. Okay. Whether it's this diagonal or this diagonal doesn't matter. This is the third side of this triangle. Okay. Are you following?
Yes, sir.
Whether,
Yes, sir.
whether I say A plus or minus B, doesn't matter actually. It's the third side of a triangle with Z1 and Z2. Okay. Now, Z1 minus Z2, mod of Z1 minus mod of Z2. What is this? The difference between two sides. Mod Z1 means length of side. Z1. Mod Z2 means length of side Z2. This is the length difference between those two, right? And what is this? This is the sum of their lengths. We know, right? The third side will be greater than the difference between their lengths and lesser than the sum of their lengths in a triangle. That is what we mean here. Got this? Length of the third side of a triangle will be lesser than the sum of the other two sides and greater than the difference between the two sides. As simple as that. Okay. So, but I want you to remember this because this is applicable in many places. Okay. So please remember it like this. Okay. But once you have the visual, it's easy to remember this, right? Okay, third side, which is Z1 plus Z2, or Z1 minus Z2, doesn't matter. Okay, plus or minus you put, doesn't matter. This equality holds. Okay, because you're dealing with mod of Z1 and mod of Z2. So you can replace, if it was minus Z2, I'll call it plus minus Z2. That's the idea. So then you put minus Z2 everywhere. Mod of Z2, mod of minus Z2, same thing. Okay, so it doesn't change. This is your idea here. Okay, for triangular inequality. Hope you've noted it down. Now, what can you say about the argument of Z1 into Z2? That is the argument of Z1 plus the argument of Z2. Now, when I say argument of Z bar n, what would you write it as? N into argument Z. All right, please remember this.
Sir,
I hope
it's
you know.
similar to log function, sir.
Yes, absolutely. We are dealing with exponential things, right? Exponents here, e power I theta, that's the idea. So if Z was R into e power I theta, Z power n will be what? Like it will be R power n into e power I n theta. Okay. So here, the magnitude of Z power n is R power n, and the argument is what? N into theta. And what is theta? That's the argument of Z. Right?
Yes, sir.
It's just like that only. Thank you for noticing. It's exponential, correct? Right. Now, the question for you. Argument of Z plus argument of minus Z conjugate equal to pi. True or false? Okay.
So
Guys,
can
we
we
learned
do it
something.
like
Yeah, tell me. Can we do it like? Yes, tell me.
argument of z into minus z conjugate and then
Lovely. This is what I wanted you to do from the beginning. Thank you so much. Okay. So we have argument of this as minus.
modulus of z whole square.
Okay. Now modulus of z square is a real number. You know that, right? Modulus will have to be a real number, right? Modulus. That's R.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the z square, modulus of z square is a real number, and this is a negative real number. So negative real numbers, where does it exist? On the
Negative x-axis.
negative x-axis, right? Negative real numbers all exist here. And what will its argument be? We are looking for the argument of this negative real number, right? That'll be I. As simple as that. Okay. Guys, all of you got this?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Google, right?
Yes, sir.
Varun, with me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What's the time now? 7:18. I'm trying for a few more questions. Okay, let's do a daring problem. Not daring problem, like once it's solved. So you have some points given to you. P1 is 1, 0. P3 is 3, 0. And P1, P2, P3, P4 is a square. Okay, which represents this thing. 0, 3, 0. You have to find the numerical value of P1, P2, P3, P4. P1, P2 are along a diagonal. Okay, P1 and P3 are a diagonal. So you have to find P2. Okay, so P1 is here, P3 is here. You have to find P2 and P4 such that this is a square. Let me teach you how to apply this. Okay, whatever you've learned right now. I think this will be more useful than doing any other question. So what do we do here? We'll draw this vector P1 to P3. Okay, this is the diagonal. So I'm going to draw a vector P1, P3. I'll call it D1. Okay. D1 is the name of the, Z D1. The complex number at D1. Think like that. Which is the first diagonal. How will I represent it? That'll be complex number P3 minus complex number P1. Okay. Are you following what is happening here?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, you know that you're forming a square. Okay. You know this already. You're going to form a square now. So I'm going to teach you how to find P2 and P4. That's the idea. Now, P3 minus P1 has length D. So if in a square has length A, what is the diagonal's length? Root 2A, right?
Yes, sir.
This angle will be 45 degree, this angle will be 45 degree because the whole thing is 90 degree, right? So you get triangles like this, root 2A, A, 45, 45, and 90. So you can see that this P1, P3, this length is 2 units. We already have that. Okay. 2 units. And we know that it is along this thing, the x-axis. So it has no, so E par I0. Okay. This is the complex number you're talking about. Got this much?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The length of this, length of ZD1, I will call it d1, which is 2 units. And this is root 2 into the length of the side of the square. Okay, so I can say the square's length will be root 2. Okay, 2 divided by root 2. Okay, so each side of the square will be root 2 units. Any doubts here? Any doubts here, guys? Please ask if you do.
No, sir.
Okay, so each side will have length root 2 units. Okay, so now root 2 units ka length side. How do I get P1, P2? Okay, P1, P2. How do I get this? So first, there'll be an R into e power I theta. Okay. So if it's that form, R will be what? R will be root 2, right? That is the distance. Guys, are you following?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
All right. So the distance is there. Now, e power I0 I have. Okay. So I'm going to rotate it how much? I'm going to rotate it by what angle? Clockwise 45 degree, which means minus pi by 4, right? So it's 0 minus pi by 4. Okay. Are you
So
following
why
what's
are you
happening?
rotating it?
I'm rotating it to get P1, P2. Okay. You had P1, P3. I shortened it to P1, P2 dash. Okay. It became root 2 into e power I0. And then to rotate it, okay, I multiply by e power angle I want to multiply it with, minus 44. Okay. So I had Z here, ZD1. Okay. Sorry, not ZD1. So then I multiply this by root 2. I'll write it neatly here. 1 second. So P1, P2, this vector, I'll get when I take P1, P2 dash. Okay. So I have P1, P3 first. I multiply this by root 1 by root 2. So then what do I get? P1, P3 dash, sorry, P2 dash, right? This is P1, P2 dash. This is what I got when I multiplied by 1 by root 2. Now, no, sorry. This is not P1, P2. So when I multiplied by this, I got P1, P2 dash. Now, I take P1, P2 dash and rotate it by 45 degree clockwise. So basically, I multiply by e power minus pi by 4. As simple as that. Right? This is how I rotate it. So then what do I get? I get P1, P2. Okay, that's what I'm trying to find here. Right? So what does P1, P2 become? P1, P2 dash, which is root 2 into e power minus I pi by 4. Guys, any doubts here? Guys, any doubts here?
No,
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 sir.
Sir, it's a little bit confusing, sir.
It is confusing. You have to do it yourself. Then only you'll figure it out. If you're looking at the screen and trying to understand, it's very confusing. Trust me. Okay. So we'll look at the other one again. Okay. But let me just continue this and then I'll solve the same thing for P4. Okay. So we have P1. We have P3. We'll find P2 now. And then we'll find P4 using P1, P2. Okay. You can use this and tilt this 45 degree to get P4 and then just divide the magnitude by root 2 to get it here. Okay. But my idea is we'll use P2 to find P4. So let's find P2 first. So P1, P2 is given by root 2 into e power minus pi by 4. And what is that? Cos of minus pi by 4 plus I of sine minus pi by 4. Okay. So cos of minus pi by 4 is 1 by root 2. Sine of minus pi by 4 is minus 1 by root 2. So this becomes 1 minus I. So P1, P2 dash, P2 becomes 1 minus I. Okay. So what is P1, P2? The point P2, which is x plus Iy, I'm calling it, minus P1. What is P1? P1 was given to us as 1, 0. Okay, let me write that here. 1, 0 and 3, 0. So P1 is 1, 0. So x minus 1 plus I into y minus 0 equal to 1 minus I. So I get the point x minus 1 is equal to 1. So I equate the real parts and the imaginary parts separately. You guys, you know this part, right? When you equate two complex numbers, you can equate the real parts and imaginary parts. But you can't say one complex number is greater than the other one. You can only equate them. Okay. You can't compare two complex numbers, you can equate them. And this is how you equate. You equate the real parts and the imaginary parts, y equal to minus 1 and x equal to 2. So P2 becomes the point 2 comma minus 1. Is this clear? It is confusing, but once you have P1, P2, the vector there, you can easily find the point P1 and P2 because you're subtracting one from the other. That's the idea. Okay. Let's try to find the point P4. Okay. Guys, did you get this till here? Did you get this till here?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I didn't know I had this option. Okay. So let's take P2 and move it to P4. All right. So how do we move P2 to P4? So you take P1, P2. Okay, I'll tell you the plan of action. You take P1, P2. It's the same length, right? P1, P4. It's a square. And rotate it by 90 degrees. In what direction? Rotate by 90 degrees. Counterclockwise, right? So basically, plus pi by 2 degrees, plus pi by 2 radian, you rotate this. Is this much clear? How we move from P1, P2 to P1, P4? P1, P4 is P1, P2 rotated clockwise, sorry, counterclockwise, pi by 2 units. Any doubts?
No, sir.
Any doubts, guys, all of you? Any doubts?
Sir, can you repeat just once more?
Yeah. So which part here? This part only.
Yes, sir. P4 only, sir.
Okay. P1, P4 is this vector going from P1 to P4. And I get that by subtracting 2 points, the P4 point and the P1 point. Okay. So I assume they are like points here, P1 point and P2 point, and I subtract them to get the vector. Vector notation. It's a free vector. It can move anywhere, but still. Okay. P1, P4 is subtracting P4 minus P1. So this vector you will get when you take P2, P1. Okay, sorry, P1 to P2. Okay. P1, P2 you take and rotate it this way, right? 90 degrees. So you have a square here. To go from this side to this side, what do? You rotate 90 degrees, right? So that's exactly what I'm doing here. So P1, P2, I have it. I'll rotate it towards P1, P4. Okay. And I need not change the distance here. Okay. So P1, P2, I already have, right? P1, P2, I already obtained. What is P1, P2? 1 minus I. Okay. P1, P2 was 1 minus I. And this I'll rotate 90 degrees. So to rotate any degrees, I multiply by, rotate theta radians, I multiply by e power I theta. That's the idea, guys. So you have a vector here. What I wanted to show you was the part where everybody makes a mistake, the vector part. Okay. So write the vector properly. Imagine that is being rotated 90 degrees, which means you multiply. So you rotate this by 90 degrees, okay, to get P1, P4. So how do you rotate 1 minus I by 90 degrees? You multiply by e power I pi by 2. What is e power I pi by 2? So whenever you say e power I theta, imagine a unit circle. Imagine a unit circle. When theta is 0, you're referring to the point 1. When theta is pi by 2, you're referring to this one, I. Or expand this, cos theta plus I sin theta. Cos pi by 2 is 0 and sin pi by 2 is 1. So you're left with I here. Okay. Got this? This is I only. When I say theta is pi, what happens? You're going here to the point minus 1 comma 0. When I say theta is minus pi, you're looking at minus I point. Okay. minus pi by 2, sorry. When I say minus pi also, you're reaching minus 1 again. Okay. But are you getting the idea what's happening here, please? Is this somewhat clear to you?
Yes, sir.
So now what you should further infer
Sir,
from this
why
is
are we keeping that as 1 minus a root 2 ne vechukkom?
1 minus.
Sir, we can keep that as root 2 no, sir. P1, P2.
P1, P2 is a vector, vector,
Oh,
not
okay,
magnitude.
okay, sir.
The
Oh,
magnitude is root 2. What you said was partially correct. Okay. The magnitude was root 2. But then P1 is the origin. Okay. So P1 is the point 1, 0. That is from where I'm starting, not from 0, 0. So starting from 0, 0, what you said was absolutely right. Take root 2 and simply multiply by e power I or whatever. E power I into the angle. What he said was correct. But here it's 1, 0. That's why I'm explicitly stating the case here. Okay. Okay. So it's 1 minus I here, which was P1, P2. Multiply it by I. So what do you get here? It becomes I minus I square, which becomes I plus 1. Right. So P1, P4 is P4, which is x plus Iy, minus P1, which is 1 plus 0i. So you get x minus 1 plus I into y minus 0 equal to I plus 1. So x minus 1 equal to 1 and y equal to 1. So x minus 1 equal to 1 means x equal to 2. So the point you're looking at is 2, 1 because y is equal to 1. Is this clear? So the point P4 will be 2, 1. That's the idea. Got this, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. So this is the idea of rotation. This is it, rotation. Okay. So I'll give you a question. That's your homework. A and B are real numbers between 0 and 1. Z1 equal to A plus I. Z2 equal to 1 plus BI. Z3 equal to 0. Form an equilateral triangle. Okay, they form an equilateral. So these 3 points, Z1, Z2, Z3, form an equilateral triangle. Okay. So find A and B. Go for it. Okay, this is your question for your homework. Please do this and come back for tomorrow's class. All right. If you have any doubts regarding today, we'll solve it tomorrow. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Right. So please learn this properly. I'm giving you time to learn and then to come to me with doubts. So please do it today. All right. Thank you, guys. Class is done for today.
Thank
you,
you,
sir.
sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.